WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by JW Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. A special show we're doing today. We're using the Zoom platform doing this show. There's 4 segments to it. And the introduction to this show is very, very important for everyone to understand. Each person in the program today has been given 2 predetermined questions that have significant impact for 2021. Those 2 questions are, given the ongoing 2020 pandemic, we have 2 questions for you regarding the coming year, 2021. Question 1 is, what are the top challenges you see in 2021? Question 2, what opportunities are you anticipating for 2021? These questions have been given to 4 people that hold significant professional positions in our community. Each one of these folks has a background that you will recognize. Most likely, you will recognize each one of the participants today in the program simply by their name. Our first participant is Jimmy Matthews with Matthews Pharmacy or Matthews Health Mart and Gifts right here in Clinton. Jimmy, I want to thank you for being with us today and addressing those 2 questions. We're in a critical time, and as we look at 2021 and we dawn on that year 2021, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you to address those 2 questions. And if we have time, I have one more brief question I want you to address as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Matthews.
Thank you, JW. I'll take my uniform off and chat with us. It's a pleasure to be with everybody today. And so I'm assuming then I just need to lead right into the first question. And it was, what are our challenges for next year? And then the second one is our opportunities. And from my standpoint, I think some of those overlap or tie off one another. As I've said about and prayed about this, one of the biggest challenges we're going to have is our excitement about having a vaccine available to help bring this illness under control. And we've been very good and very patient for the last 9 months. And I can't commend people enough for what we do for each other and how we've worked with each other during that time. But as the excitement comes up about the vaccine, already people are asking, when are you going to have it? And we are going to be giving the vaccine here at the pharmacy. And there are a lot of people going to be doing that across the country. But the first thing is, the challenge that I see is that we need to be patient. If you truly understand what we've been told, the vaccine will be available very soon. But there is a priority given as to who gets these vaccines to start with. And the general public probably will not have access to them until about April. So we just need to take a deep breath, be calm, stay like we are right now, continue to be helpful to each other. And then what we have to understand is that this vaccine is a double vaccine, and it has to be done within 7 days of each other. So the first vaccine and then the second. So that kind of increases another challenge. It's not like we're all going to get in line and come through and get a vaccine. We've almost got to turn right around and get back in that line again. And when you consider that the majority of us are going to be taking this vaccine, it's a wise thing to do, considering this illness, which seems not to have a treatment. And so we're looking at a prevention. Then we're going to have to be very patient, because that door is kind of like a revolving door. When I get ready to get in line, there's going to be somebody else in line coming back to get that second shot. So we've got to be patient, just like we've been up to now. We want to protect ourselves, but we want to be considerate about other folks as well. And that's the only way that it's going to work and work well. I'm going to go ahead and address a couple of questions that you said you want to ask at the end, I think, because they tie into this. One was, am I going to take the vaccine? I have no reason not to take the vaccine at this point. I know there are a lot of questions about that. How did they get to the market so fast? But in other countries, things like this happen that quick. with good preparation and good work. And there've been a lot of people working on this project from the get-go. So we're going to have to trust in the people who do the work for us, because we have to understand we're in a country that's very, very careful on putting medications out in the marketplace. Other countries do it much quicker, and for the most part, it works very, very well. So I honestly don't think that we're going to be introducing to people something that's going to be harmful to them. So I think we need to relax on that part of it as well, and make a good decision for ourselves. You know, nobody can make us take it. I mean, we have flu vaccines every year and everybody doesn't take it. But that's our choice. When it's over with, then if we get the flu, we hope we survive that. And the regular flu can be very dangerous to us and can be deadly to us too. I wanted to look at the last 2 years at one time and see what the death rate was with the regular flu, because it didn't get the publicity this gets, but it is deadly when you get the regular flu a lot too. This one is just very scary because all of us are at harm's way. You know, we're just a step away from getting the illness, and then depending on how severe it is, what the outcome will be for us. And so, yes, I will take the shot, the vaccine. I won't be the first one in line, but we will take that shot. And that doesn't mean because I'm afraid of it. It's because there are other people who need it much worse than I do, who need that protection. So I would encourage everybody as they go through these days and weeks as that becomes available to say your prayers and listen to what would be and make a good decision for each person. Nobody can dictate to you what you need to do in this case, and will not dictate to you. Okay.
Jimmy, there's been a considerable conversation about the Moderna versus the Pfizer vaccine. Should we be concerned about which one we get?
No, and some of that, JW, is going to be somewhat determined by the Pfizer takes a lot lower temperature to be preserved in and maintained in. And so that's going to be a challenge for a lot of providers as to whether they have the ability, the capacity to actually even have that vaccine available. I don't think that right now we know which one is any better than the other. As people get vaccinated and as the results come out, that's what's going to happen. In the past, again, with flu shots, there have been several versions of that, and different people get different ones. Unfortunately, you don't know which was the best, honestly, until the game's over. Because now, not just a few hundred people are going to take this, thousands of people are going to take it. And therefore, we'll have a lot better understanding as how it plays out and learn a lot by it. So I don't know that I would get hung up. What I've heard so far, that's not the issue. The issue is, am I going to take it, the vaccine? Again, we have to have confidence in the leaders in our country and the people who are producing these products, and their responsibility and their commitment to what they do for us. And they have a history of doing good for us. So we're going to have to trust in that.
This show that you're actually doing now will air January 5th. So most likely we're going to have the Moderna vaccine. If the way everything looks now, it will be out and available. And as you know, there's a staged events of who gets it first and this kind of thing. As you pointed out, likely it will be probably April or May, according to Dr. Fauci and others. Given that as a timeline that you see, and I'm just asking you as a pharmacist and a person that understands science and medicine, for people that may be planning events, large crowds, if that event is happening in April, should they consider already going ahead and postponing that or making other arrangements, or just knowing what you know now? Do you think folks will have enough vaccine out that they'll be able to gather in large crowds?
JW, that's a good question. And my feeling about that and what I understand about that, I actually think that we're probably going to be subject to the best coverage. It will be mid-summer before people get the vaccine, everything gets into effect. So again, what I see as the biggest challenge is our anxiousness to want to get back to life as we appreciated it and as we want it to be. And that's not going to happen that quickly. I mean, you might be having 60 people in a group, and this is what I'm saying. So maybe in one place, 10 of those could get their shot because of their priority or whatever, and because of availability in the area they're in. But there might be 30 of them that would have not had that shot, that vaccine by that time. So, you know, we've got to treat this like we're living in it today and take the same precautions until we walk through it and understand the good that's coming out of that, the possible concerns we might have, and live each day one day at a time and not get too far ahead of ourselves in prepping. And I know how painful that is. I mean, we all have family we love. We all have children and grandchildren and people we want to be around. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we're just going to have to be patient and be polite and be concerned about ourselves and the other ones. Yeah.
Jimmy, would it be safe to say that if anybody has any additional questions, to do what they do with any of their other prescriptions, they can contact their hometown pharmacy and pharmacist, Jim Matthews, and ask him what he thinks?
Well, yeah, that's possible. And also we have staff members here who are very much up on the situation, and doctors are good resources too. You know, we know a lot, but there's a lot maybe kind of still that we're learning on a regular basis. So we're going to take one day at a time. That's all we can live. And if we're smart, that's all we ought to count on and ought to focus on, is that one day at a time. That's part of what the opportunities that I look at for next year. You know, when we went into this, society was kind of on edge, and a lot of things were going on. And so I think that what we want to do is to hold on to the good Lord supporting us and getting us through this.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on the air again, and JW Simmons here, your host. We're talking to Commissioner Lethia Lee. We're following a sequence of guests as I introduced the show today. 4 people that hold leadership positions here in the county. Lethia is the new commissioner in the county. She's setting precedents in many ways for Sampson County. Commissioner Lee continues to do that. And Lethia, I just want to thank you for taking your time in a kind of busy time of the year. This show is airing January 5th. So it's on the dawn of a new year, 2021. And as you know, I gave you a couple of questions for you to kind of ponder and think about and respond to. And one of them is about challenges in 2021, and the other's about opportunities. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, and if you would address those questions. And again, thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you, JW, for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the people of Sampson County. I do have some things in mind that I see that is going to stand in our way beginning in 2021. We have this pandemic that we're dealing with right now, and we need to deal with that collectively. That means when the shots come in, everybody needs to try to take it that can, so that we can get our economy stirring again. The shot is based on scientific proof, and it's nothing for us to be afraid of. If you check with your doctor and he tell you it's okay to take the shot, I urge you to please take it so we can come from this. Because our children need to get back to school. Our parents need to get back to work. We need to get our economy going. And this is the only way it's going to get going again. We need, first of all, I think in Sampson County, we need to pay more attention to our small businesses. Our small businesses is what make up an important part of Sampson County because they're rooted and grounded in this county. They're not going to pull up and go anywhere. They're going to remain here. They provide money, they provide jobs for our local residents to work. So we need to think about supporting our small businesses and whatever funds that we get in from the federal government. We also need to be concerned about our schools. Our schools are in dire need of funds, and we need to provide those funds for our schools so that they can open back up, because it takes a lot of money. It takes money for us to get our schools open again. So we need to think about funding our schools. There are so many things that I see that's going wrong. The economy is bad right now, and we have food deserts. People can't get enough food. We need to look into that and see. We don't want the things to happen in Sampson County that's happening in other counties that we look at on TV. The people are really suffering for food. I don't think it's gotten that bad here in Sampson County, but we need to do some things, put some things in place so that it will not happen. We need to be more concerned about our residents, make them aware of what's going on in the county, let them be aware so they can have a part in it. People do better when they have a part in things that are going on. And I feel that making people aware of things that's going on so that they can be a part and play an important role in. You know, in my career, I've always believed in partnerships. Having a strong partnership is what builds a strong community. We can't do this alone. We cannot do it by ourselves. So we need to partner with every agency and everybody that we can that can help us. It's a dire time. You know, I think this pandemic is gonna bring about some changes. I really do. I think it's gonna put us closer together. You know, we have always been, this is yours and that's yours. That's not gonna be the way it is, because we feel like we need each other. Right now, while we are going through this pandemic, I need you and you need me. And we need to show each other that concern and that love, because that's the only way we're gonna come out of this. Some people are taking it lightly and some are taking it for what it's worth. And I believe that the more we contribute to each other, the more that we will come out of it. Helping each other, being concerned about each other. That's so important. You know, if I got $1, you got $1. That's the way it should be. We need to invest in our people, because that's very important. You know, I've heard a lot since I have taken on this role. A lot of people look down on the 4th district and say, well, y'all really don't. They say it just like this. Y'all really ain't got nothing, have you? Well, we really don't. And that's not our fault. But there's going to be some changes made. We don't have anything. And I'm not saying we need to pull in shopping centers and manufacturers and all that kind of stuff, but we do need to take care of our people. Our people are suffering here for the end of the county. They need water. Most of what I've heard that they need is water, and they've been asking for it for 20 years, and it haven't showed up yet. But there are some funds and there are some ways that we may not can do it in 2021, but we can get it started. We need fiber optics so our children can work on the computers if that's what needs to be done. We don't have internet service down here so that they can use a computer. So there's a lot of things that we need to do that can build up the whole county, the entire county. It's not just the further end of the county, but it's all of the county. All of the county is what we need to be concerned with. And if one don't have anything, then we need to look at that situation and see what we can do to fix it. And I believe that by working together, we can get this done. You know, you can't pull your resources by yourself and get what you want. You have to put it together. You know, once you put monies together and funds together and look out for everybody, then things work out. That's what I believe in.
Lethia, just a couple of follow-up questions. What I hear you saying is that there appears to be a lot to this conversation about the urban and rural communities, and then oftentimes rural communities end up being marginalized in what their resources are and how much resources they have. How much do you see that as the role of government, i.e. the commissioners and in local areas, and how much of that is the role of businesses to look at expansion and look at other things related to business and jobs?
Well, I believe JW is twofold. Government has a role they can play in, and businesses have a role they can play in. When a business wants to come, say, for the South and Harris, they don't have any incentive to come down here. We don't have sufficient water. We don't have the septic service that they need, so nobody's coming. So government need to look into why we don't have anything and find out what they can do to improve that.
When we look at that from an improvement point of view, do you have in mind some initiatives that you would like to see once you establish yourself on that board of commissioners? And of course, I've known you for some time, and they're gonna know you're there, trust me. So when that happens, do you already have some things in place that you would like to see happen?
First of all, I would like to see us working together, because it's a together thing. It's not, I'm getting for the further end of the county, I'm getting for the east or the west or the south. It's not like that. We're getting for everybody. We serve as county commissioners. We're separated by districts, but we serve as county commissioners. And when one section don't have, then the other one shouldn't have, because it should be divided equally. I don't see one getting more than the other. That's me. And until you have been in a situation, until you have been a different place, you don't have a heart for anybody else. You've got to been there. I've been poor. I've had, and I know what it's like to be in life. So therefore, I can see how the other person feels that don't have. I can understand that. There's a lot of people that look down on people that don't have, and there's reasons why they don't have. Some of them are not able to work. Some of them are able to work. And in situations where the people are able to work, we need to find them jobs. They need to work. They don't need to sit around and be idle, because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we need to put them to work, because there's jobs out here. I'll be watching the paper and looking at different things, and I know there are a lot of jobs that we could do. So we need to find opportunities, more opportunities for people, and just don't look at them and say it's your fault you don't have, or your fault you don't have a job, because most of the time it's not. We can help, and anytime that we can jump in and help somebody to improve themselves, that's what we need to do.
Well, we're coming up shortly here, and we're gonna have to close out this segment, but I want to try to get this question in if I can. Given the availability of the vaccine for COVID, are you going to take that shot?
I certainly am. I would take it on public TV. I would take it if somebody came out there today and said, you want to take the shot, I'd hold my arm out. I'm ready for that shot, because I am so ready. I am so ready to come out from under this, because it's stagnating us. It's holding us back from things that we could accomplish, things that we could do. We can't do it because of this pandemic. And so I'm urging everybody, all of my neighbors and friends and everybody, if you can hear me, if you believe in me, please take the vaccine, because if you don't take it, it won't do me any good to take it. So a certain amount, I think they said 75% of the people have to take the shot in order for it to work. So I urge you, please consider taking the shot if your health will allow it, because I don't believe it's gonna hurt you. I'm gonna give it a try.
Well, I think our friend Wanda Robinson, Director of Public Health here in the county, has her work cut out for us. We're down to the last 20 seconds here. I can give you 5 seconds if you got a last word.
My last word is to the people of Sampson County. I'm just so thrilled to hold this position, and I hope that I don't fail you. I hope that I do the things that you want me to do. But the only thing I have to say to you, I can't do it alone. You have to help me.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee.
Thank you so much, Mr. JW.
Many things have been stolen away during this time of uncertainty. No crowds to cheer on their favorite teams. Applause and pageantry have been stripped away. Thieves are looking to make your home empty and silent. Star Communications has the answer you are looking for. Security by Star. Automation and affordability along with friendly service makes for a security choice that is sure to keep your family cheering.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know's on there. We're on our third segment today of a unique Zoom visit. We're airing this show January 9. So we're looking into 2021. Our third guest today is Shannon Barber, Director of the Child Advocacy Center. Shannon, you've been doing this a long time. I say a long time. You've been in it quite a few times because I've had you on my show a couple of times. And Shannon, I've given you a couple of questions as I did our other guests, but I introduced them as I introduce you, is that you are a key vital part of our community. You have a unique perspective. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to get your perspective for 2021, because looking after our children and ensuring justice and safety is done for our children are a critical asset, not only in the sense of the job, but the leadership you provide. So those two questions about challenges for 2021 and opportunities for 2021, I'll leverage the microphone to you.
Thank you so much, JW, for having me today. As you said, I am the Executive Director and Forensic Interviewer for Sampson County Child Advocacy Center, which we most often refer to as the CAC. The CAC provides services to children that have been physically and or sexually abused in Sampson County. We provide a place of comfort during a time of healing for children whose worlds have been shattered by the people that a lot of times should be their protectors. The CAC did see many challenges during the pandemic that we were in, and we anticipate some of those challenges rolling over into 2021. One of those challenges that we saw was funding and fundraisers and donations to the center. Our center relies heavily on fundraising and community support to be able to provide our services. And in a time where social distancing has been so important, it has been difficult to put together events to be able to raise funds for the Child Advocacy Center. We've also seen a decline in donations of people that would make monthly visits to the center to drop off things to us, such as comfort items for the children, coloring books, stuffed animals, blankets, just things that they could use when they were here, as well as snacks and water and things like that. We haven't had as many visitors to the center since the pandemic started. So we anticipate the challenges with funding and with our donations to continue to be a problem in 2021. Also, JW, with reporting, this is probably one of the biggest ones. In 2020, we saw slight fewer cases than what we've seen in all of the years in the past. We definitely don't think that that is because there was a decrease in abuse in this county, but we know, in fact, that it's because children are stuck at home. They're not going around people that provide that safe place for them to be able to talk and tell that things are happening. Children are not going to school. They're not going to church. They're not visiting outside their home with other family and friends. And so we did see a decline in reported cases, and we anticipate, as long as children are still not getting out and going around other people, that we'll continue to see that in 2021 as well. We also know when they do start coming back to some sort of normal, that we're probably going to have an influx of cases and reports when they get back out and feel like they can talk about things that have happened. As far as 2021, we also see an opportunity and a positive in this pandemic and how 2020 went. We feel like in 2021, we are preparing to provide more education in the community on child abuse, signs and symptoms to look for and recognize, as well as how to report it. What happens when you make a report? What are the steps that you have to do? Everybody is using virtual formats, such as we are today, to be able to meet. Schools are doing it. churches are doing it. Organizations are doing meetings and trainings. It seems everybody's on some sort of virtual format having their meetings. Even family members I've seen have had family meetings that way. So we're hoping in 2021 that we'll be able to get into more of that virtual format and meet with other people and provide education on child abuse and what to look for and how to go about reporting that. And in turn, we hope that will play a part in people reporting as well as prevention and people knowing what to do and when they get in those situations. So
one of the things I wanted to kind of see if we could get into this segment, again, this is kind of a short brief compared to what we usually do in the studio. But one of the things you mentioned about what you actually do as it relates to abuse and those kinds of things, when we look at things like foster care and other kinds of programs, a lot of people sometimes get the line blurred between what you guys are doing and, say, for example, foster care homes and so forth. Help us understand where that line is and how critical your job is, because you're kind of the actual last resort. Is that a fair statement?
Well, we kind of start off at the beginning. When a child or when someone makes a report to social services or law enforcement, they bring that child to our center. We're the kind of the first stop for them. Once law enforcement and Department of Social Services have completed their initial assessment and they go, okay, hey, there's something going on here. We need to have this child forensic interview completed. So then the child is referred here to have a forensic interview and a lot of times a medical exam by a child abuse specialist. And so that starts the investigation process. We gather that information from the kid. It's kind of a one-stop shop. They come here, they have that interview completed. Everybody that's doing an investigation watches that interview, and that way nobody else has to talk to the child. We don't have to re-victimize that child by making them tell that story over and over again. We have law enforcement, DSS, medical professionals, the district attorney's office, therapists, the school system. Everybody is working together as a team from the beginning when a case is first reported. So we start off with the case and then we follow the case all the way through until it is disposed of in court. So we're with that child from the time it's first reported until a decision is made in the court system.
So to some degree, you're kind of the vortex then where the defense for the district attorney's office, for law enforcement, for the abused person or child, this is where it melts together to reach that level of prosecution, both evidential and matter of fact, to actually move it through the judicial process.
Right. Having everybody on the same page makes those cases go a lot smoother, and everybody working together to benefit that child and not putting this child through multiple interviews, having to tell that story over and over. We're all working together to try to do what's in the best interest of that kid. So the children visit the center to have those interviews and to have those medical exams or to help prepare them for court. But when you mention like foster care, sometimes that is a confusion that people think the children actually live here, but they don't live here. They go back home. They just come here and visit, and then they go back home to, or whatever home they may be in at the time.
Well, you're definitely in a very unique position, and you mentioned up front the need for funds, the fact that your program, this program that you've operated for years now, literally depends on support and donation of the community. How much support do you anticipate? Do you need more support from the faith-based community? One of the things we've got as you know, in this area and throughout the state, but particularly in the rural areas of North Carolina, we've got a lot of steeples and they carry a lot of weight and a lot of influence. Do you need those folks to step up?
We do need those folks to step up in Sampson County. We are grant funded, but grants do not provide all of the funding that we need. We are also a United Way partner. They're very supportive of us, but again, that doesn't provide all of the funding that we need. We really could use the support of our faith-based community. Now, I will say we have several churches that in the past have been donors that would come by once a month, and they would bring snacks for the kids, water and juices. They would donate those blankets and stuffed animals and things like that. But even during the pandemic in 2020, we've seen a decline in that because people are just not getting out, and they're not going around other people. And so we've even seen a decline in that piece. But as far as the financial stability, we could really use our faith-based community to step up and help support the CAC.
Well, I know the Rotary Club has helped you guys out. Fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't go down to help hang the blinds or anything of that nature. I've been fortunate, but Lowe's has also helped out with some of the furnishings at your office. So that's the kind of thing that I think is critically important. Got a quick question for you, and maybe take you 30 seconds or so. Not necessarily directly on this subject, but I need to ask it. If the vaccine comes available, when it becomes available for you to take it, are you planning to take the COVID vaccine?
That's a very question. That's a question that has had lots of discussion lately, JW. Actually, our state chapter just reached out yesterday to find out how many staff members we have, because they are working at the state level and trying to make sure that CAC staff are considered in that 1B dose of those vaccines. So we would be up next to get those. I definitely would want to discuss that more with my medical provider, but being here and seeing these families and children face to face, if I had to answer that right now, I'd probably say yes, that I would take it.
Well, thank you for answering that question. I know sometimes people are a little bit hesitant, and I certainly don't want to invade anybody, but a lot of times folks in leadership positions like you will help other folks decide what to do. So I want to thank you for being with us today, Shannon, and also thank you for what you do. As we kind of close out here, I look forward to hopefully having you on in the near future for, maybe a longer version of this show so we can get into telephone numbers and that kind of thing. So again, thank you for being with us, and we look forward to a wonderful 2021.
Thank you so much for having us. Bye.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Welcome back. We're coming up on our last segment of We Should Know today. The 2021 Looking Forward segment today that we're doing is going to be built around a subject that everybody is not only interested in, but everybody probably knows a little bit about it. Even if you're not involved in the profession, you certainly put some of it in your mouth each and every day, and that's agriculture. Critically important to this area, critically important to the state. I've asked Wellie Jackson, a young farmer here in Sampson County, grew up in a farm family, still involved in a farm, dedicated to a farm. He's a professional. Many people know Wellie. Wellie, I've asked you two questions, and those questions build around challenges for 2021 and anticipating opportunities for 2021. I want to thank you for taking time to talk to us via Zoom to kind of give folks some insight. So I'll leverage the microphone to you to address those questions.
Thank you, JW. Yes, 2020 was an exciting year anyway for us farmers, and 2021 is probably going to be just about as exciting. We just, we've got the main thing with agriculture right now is not the weather, of course, and we can't control that, but our labor, farmers are getting older. Even the farm owners, we're getting older, and it's harder to get young people in the farming profession. It's just so expensive to do land, equipment purchases, and such as that. And also, hired labor between your H2A workers and then just general, people that you used to always get somebody to run a combine before you run a tractor when you're busy. That well has dried up. And nowadays you're having to work longer hours when you need it because you need these people just for a few days, a couple of weeks out of the year, and that supply is gone. And these bigger farmers are having trouble, filling those voids. And even us, the livestock farmers like us, when you get busy, you need a little bit of help. It's just not out there. So 2021, I still see the labor as being probably the number one, concern with agriculture, that, and which ties into the new administration. That's a roll of the dice. We just don't know what we're going to get. They say one thing and you might get that, or you might get something else. There's a lot of give and take in Washington, and man might say, and he's got good intentions of trying to do one thing, but Congress won't let him do that. So we don't know exactly what our policy is going to be, we're dealing with this year. So it's going to be a trying year, even if a normal when the administration changes, it's trying. But with the COVID, the vaccine, when we're going to get it, if we get it, if you're going to take it, and what's it still doing to our economy, we just don't know. There's more questions out there this year than ever before. And opportunities for 2021, that goes back to the uncertainty. These people that can figure out what's going to happen, they're going to have a leg up. But what I see is the consumer is getting, is getting smarter. They want to know where their food came from, not just what grocery store or what wholesaler, but what farm it was grown on. Where, what did they fertilize it with? What did they spray it with? So digital farming is the new upcoming thing. I think you're gonna have to have digital records of everything that was done on your farm on up, so the consumer can be more aware of where their food comes from. And also the food consumption has changed over this COVID situation. Everyone used to go out and eat all the time. Well, the restaurant business is taking just an absolute beating, and people now are eating at home, and you eat different at home than you do when you go out to eat. So these bigger companies and the wholesalers are used to supplying to, their packaging to X amount, that 100-pound package, versus home doesn't take a 100-pound package. So they're having to develop, different ways of getting it to the actual home, not to the wholesaler where we would go eat our dinner at night. So I think the people that can figure out a way to get it into the food into the home versus the way, switch over from getting it to institutions, I think they're going to be very good. The people that can get the digital farming and then figure out how to get food into the house, not just to the restaurants and the institutions and such as that, I think they're going to have a leg up on our farm economy.
One of the things that strikes me in some of your observations is that we're really talking about the food chain as a whole, from your turkey farm to somebody's table. So once that's interrupted, breaking that chain or slowing that down, does it dismantle the whole process, and simply have we got to come up with a new system, or can we adjust the system we got?
That we need to adjust the system we got. We've got a good system, but the labor, when the COVID and you're having to take, a tenth of your workforce out of the plant, not only that just affect the plant workers and in the butterball, but people like me, the grower. Instead of our turkeys going to the market at 21 weeks, we might have to keep them a couple extra weeks. And this is just something the livestock industry just doesn't stop. That pipeline, we're getting poults were already set weeks ago. So we've got to get rid of these, turn the farm and go right back again. So that goes back to the labor. The labor is our main thing with agriculture, farming it in the plants, driving the trucks down the road, the warehouse workers, the grocery store workers, everybody from the man that actually sets the eggs in the incubator to the man that serves it on your plate. That labor the whole way. That is the biggest problem in our supply chain with agriculture.
Wellie, to the question of labor, are we facing the problem with labor simply because we just don't have people that want to do that kind of work? They don't want to do the farming. I recall as a young person, before I went to college, I did not want to crop tobacco and sand lug tobacco, but that was what was expected. And of course I had to do it. But nowadays folks are saying, well, I don't have to do that. Is that what's creating this kind of dilemma?
I think that's part of it, and when you grew up, you had, 100 farmers growing, let's say 1,000 acres of pepper. Now you got 10 farmers growing 1,000 acres of pepper. So you got smaller families now. So you don't have the kids starting to get to work ethic. to start out with, you got a smaller family there and such a large operation like my kids, they can't be involved in the day-to-day, and we're in the livestock industry. They go to school and they got the other activities, and during the summer they help me. But we've done away with making these bigger farmers getting down to the small people working. And also, our laws have changed. When I was young, we'd work at 8, 10 years old, and now it's illegal to do stuff like that. So I think we're doing the kids a disservice by those laws not letting kids work in agriculture at a younger age. I mean, it was no more unsafe than a kid on a skateboard or, riding a bicycle down the street. And I think we've done our whole youth a disservice by not letting them work at a young age, whether it's my kids or my friends' kids coming in and working, developing a love to work, and they can understand the value of money. I think that's a problem, not only agriculture, but our whole society.
There seems to be this sense of lack of understanding that agriculture in North Carolina is still a family business. It's still a family-owned business. A lot of folks wants to kind of quantitate it into big industry, and it has nothing to do with families. But you're a perfect example of agriculture being a family-owned, family-run business.
Yes, I mean, if you look at me, I'm a corporate farmer. Yes, I'm a corporate farmer. I'm incorporated, but that's because of tax and liability reason. We're a family farm. And when people don't understand the definition of a corporate farmer, it's just a family that has incorporated for tax and liability purposes. Every farm that I know of is a family farm. And I know some operations that are absolutely huge, but then there's 3 generations, there's uncles, there's brothers, there's cousins, all working hand in hand. Very, very rarely do you find a quote what people think is a corporate farm here in North Carolina. Now, I can't speak out west, but most of what I know out west are still family farms. It's just, people just don't, and I think the agriculture industry has not done a real good job educating the public on what a family farm is and how much pride we take not only in our profession, but the environment. We are the world's best conservationists. We're environmentalists. We love our land. We don't want to over apply chemicals for 2 reasons. It's bad for the land, but then also it costs us money. So getting back to the digital farming, I think that the farmers that can start really, really knocking down on precise placement of nutrients and crop varieties and such as that, I think they're gonna have a leg up.
I want to, before we run out of time, we're about 2 minutes out before we're segments up. I want to ask you a quick question. I've asked all my guests today this question. When and if in the future, obviously it's going to happen, the vaccine for COVID comes available, will you take that vaccine?
Yes, sir. No doubt in my mind, I will. I just think if not, we're like a hamster on the wheel. We're just going to keep running. Is there certain risk? Yes, but there's also risk getting on the road today. Me going home, there's risk there. There's so many risks, and I'm willing to try it. Like I said, we've got to break this cycle that we're in right now, and if we don't get a vaccine, we're going to just keep going. And I just don't think the economy can keep going like we're going. I think we're propped up with government money that's going to soon run out. I think people are scared not to go to work, and we cannot pay people to sit at home. The money will run out.
Well, I think that opportunity, as we've heard so far, will be available this year, 2021. And a lot of us, I tend to agree with you, a lot of us are going to step up and do that and move forward with our lives and try to continue to expand this greatness we have right here in this country, right here in North Carolina, and right here particularly in Eastern North Carolina.
Yes, sir. I think we owe it to our country, our neighbors, and the economy to just I dread it's come to this, but that's what it's going to take to get us back where we used to be, a couple of years ago. I mean, and I like the freedom. I don't like wearing a mask when I go out, but that's what we have to do now. And I want to get away from that. And I think the vaccine's the only way we're ever going to get away from it.
Well, again, I want to thank you. One of the initiatives that I see is very positive is that I'm going to be hopefully continuing to work with you to do more expanded education in 2021 for the general population, and you're going to be a key part of that. So I'm just kind of putting a teaser out for folks to start looking for that. Hopefully we'll be getting that ag show that you and I have talked about And with the interference with COVID, it's been tough. So I want to thank you for still being part of that.
Thank you so much. I think once we get the word out and people start getting educated about agriculture, they're going to think we're a pretty good fellas, and they're going to be proud to know a farmer.
So, Wellie, thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you soon. Stay well and stay safe. God bless.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host JW Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.